Hi guys, quick update on the Benjamin Summit. I've got the scope mounted, spent some time doing that last night. I've got some more impressions of it. So I'm just going to add those real quick and I'm going to add to this video, patch it all together when I'm done. And hopefully it'll be worth watching. One thing I noticed here when I was putting on the scope rings, this one doesn't stick out nearly as far as this one. I don't know if they're two different length screws or if one is just clamping a lot tighter or if something's off and I just don't know it yet. But you can see I mounted this the scope as far back as it'll go in the Picatinny rail. And I got it about 2/3 of the way back here. I think I need to move it back a little further. I hate to do that though because I got it perfectly leveled now. Another thing, other reviewers have commented, this cone that goes from the back of the shroud down to the barrel is plastic. And this tube here is aluminum. And the way this comes apart is you grab the very end. You can see it's two pieces here. You grab the very end of it and you twist that counterclockwise and the barrel threads into that right about, I don't know, the shrouded part. The shroud is probably the last 5 or 6 inches here. About from the end of my hand to my thumb is shroud. So you unscrew that, this just slides right off, and then this will slide off too. And I do agree with most people that they missed an opportunity by making this out of plastic, because you have to be afraid if you torque down on this too tightly that you're going to crack this. And some people complain that you mess up the accuracy if you grab this and it rotates. So it's kind of in your best interest to have this snug, you know, just so that nothing changes. This piece here, the end, you can see that it's got fake holes here around the outside. This is the end of the shroud. It's one piece, and like I said, it goes back 5 or 6 inches. But since the whole thing is plastic, you can't really put thread lock on the inside of the threads there or on the threaded part of the barrel, because thread lock is not really designed to work between plastic and metal. So I can't really think of anything you could do there. Maybe put some kind of a mild glue to hold it, maybe cyanoacrylate or something. It's not too mild, and it doesn't hold to all plastics either, so that's kind of a conundrum. I've shouldered it a few times. I've only shot one round. I'm going to shoot it a bunch more. Consider it break-in after this video, but this, I was a little worried, and the reason I went with the Summit instead of the Trail is because it was like $70 cheaper, and as far as I can tell, the only difference is instead of having an ugly thumb hole stock, you have kind of a nice looking conventional stock. And these little swells, these little cutouts right here, they feel great because the meat of your thumb here just has a nice place to go, and it's vertical enough that that you can shoot this from a bench comfortably. Ambidextrous, the cheek piece is ambidextrous. As Kenny Cormody said, it's not raised too high, but scope's not raised too high either, so not a big deal. I kind of like this manual safety too. All the German guns and English guns have an automatic safety so that when you cock it, it pops the safety out here, and you have to take off the safety with every shot. And that's kind of like a little bit too big brother for my taste. So this, you leave it off, you cock it, you shoot. When you're done shooting, you put it back on, or if you want to leave it cocked, you put it back on. And also, it's worth noting that this is quiet. You can hear it clicking here because I'm not being careful, but if I were in a hunting situation, I was carrying this around with it cocked, loaded, on safe, I could quietly slip that forward without spooking the game off. So that's kind of nice. They got that right. I don't know how I feel about this front sling swivel flopping around. If they're going to put anything there, they had to put it there now and have it be flopping around, or else it would have to go on the side like I don't know, like the Mauser. And then the sling swivel stud back here doesn't have a swivel. They really should have included a swivel, I think. The scope, I'm surprised. It's very clear optically, and being a 4x32, it's bright. So one way you can tell how bright a scope is going to be is if you divide the objective lens diameter by the magnification. and that gives you kind of a brightness factor. So 32 divided by 4 is 8, so a brightness factor of 8. Compare that to like a 12 by 40, that's less than 4. So by comparison, even though this is a smaller scope, it's going to be much brighter, twice as bright. So that's worth noting. The Picatinny rail, I don't know if something is off with the machining on the Picatinny rail, or if the bolts in the for the scope ring screws here on the bottom are too small of a diameter. But when I put these in and they were just loose, I was getting them in position, they were moving back and forth a lot. And I don't think that's the way a Picatinny rail is supposed to work. It's supposed to be that you're not relying on the clamping pressure to keep it from moving back and forth. Or at least you're not relying very much on it. You should have big enough bolts here that it keeps it from moving much back and forth in the rail. And that wasn't the case here. I had to wrench these down pretty tight before they stopped moving. They won't slide completely off, but they're also, you know, I'm relying on one screw per scope ring to keep everything steady. So if I was to complain about any component so far, the scope is okay. The crosshairs are a little bit blurry at 10 yards, but they're sharp again at 15 yards. So if you're doing a lot of 10-yard shooting, you might want to invest in an AO scope. If you're just doing, you know, hunting at 10 to, you know, 10 yards and beyond, 4X is really enough unless you're shooting at, you know, sparrowheads or something. But I would say the first thing to replace is the rings, not the scope. The scope is clear, sharp. It's not a mil dot, so you'll have to guess your holdovers a little bit. You know, guess in inches at range instead of in mil dots. But it's not, to me, it's not an immediately replace thing unless it breaks on me. So I've always kind of liked a fixed power scope as long as it's appropriate for what you're trying to do. So that's it for this update. I'm gonna get cracking on the break-in. The first shot, I took the first shot last night after cleaning the barrel, which, by the way, I used a Hops bore snake, and I managed to get through twice with the shroud on. But then I had to, finally, it was getting too hard. It was getting caught in the baffles, so I took the shroud off, cleaned it 5 or 6 more times with Goo Gone on the first couple inches of the bore snake. And it didn't come out too dirty. The barrel was nice and shiny and clean. I cleaned off some of the excess oil on the chamber area. Let's see if I can show you that. Still kind of oily there. And sure enough, the first shot, it went supersonic with the 14 grain pellet. It was a huge crack, and actually some sparks came out the end. So definitely some detonation going on there. And someone on the GTA recommended to me that I take the scope off and shoot, you know, 50 rounds or so like that, so I don't destroy the scope with detonation and de-sling. So more soon, guys. See you next time.